Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Check. What up, world? It's the man with the plan, Burt McGurk, a.k.a. PR, the King of Hearts, and you are now tuned into Clocking Out, the podcast you listen to when you need to get motivated and inspired to doing bigger and better things. What is going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Clocking Out. Today, our guest speaker is Brett. What are we doing? How's it going, man? How you been doing today? What's new?
You know, it's Friday, and we've been getting those April showers here in Boston. But about an hour before I left work, the sun popped out, and it was like one of those days where it was like 66 degrees and it was like raining. So like even when you were outside, the weather was nice, you know what I mean? And then that sun popped out at the last hour, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I hear you. Those are the best, though. You think it's going to be a long, dreary day, and then, little by little, the day starts turning out and looking a lot better.
Yeah, most definitely. How was your week?
So far, so good, man. It's been pretty busy. I've been trying my best to just work on this unboxing video that I got, working with this new camera. I mentioned it before not too long ago in a live stream. I got the new DJI Pocket 3. And it's been really keeping me busy, but I'm having a hard time. I did this unboxing video that's like an hour long, and I've been trying my best to get it from an hour to at least like 10 minutes, and it's just hard to pick out what to take and what to keep in, and but it's been pretty exciting. I've been playing around with a few different features and programs and things like that, so it's been exciting learning new things.
It's crazy because, when I went to school for radio and television in Rhode Island. That's what my degree is in. I went to a technical school. And two things that I noticed that reminded me of those days is, number one, when you're going live on a stream, time flies by. And when I used to edit on like Adobe and stuff for like my class projects, you'd be in the editing booth, and then the next thing you know, it's like 4 or 5 hours later. And I remember you tweeted out something recently, like this week, that you were up late and you were editing. And I was like, you know what? I guarantee he got up or looked at his phone and he goes, "You got to be kidding me." It's
Yep. Yeah, it happens all the time. Like you start getting caught up, and that's the thing. I think what it is that when you start doing something you enjoy, you really don't notice the amount of time that you're putting into it. Like you'll get frustrated and you'll get annoyed about little things, but you start pushing through it and you start figuring it out, and then like it's just like an adrenaline rush in a little bit, and then you start trying to like you have like this imaginary clock in your head and like this finish line that you're trying to reach, and like no matter what happens, you get there. And it's not until like you really take a second to glimpse at the clock that it hits you like, wow, all right, you got to really take a break, go eat something, go take a nap, relax, But it's been getting exciting because I've been having a lot of those moments where time is flying by and you're losing yourself in it. But it's still the point that I don't mind it. Like when it's other things, I kind of get annoyed that I've wasted so much time on it. But with all this, being that I've been enjoying the process and everything, I really don't mind it at all. But it has been happening more often than I'd like to say. But it's something I'm working on. It's going to take some scheduling and planning out and everything, but it's getting there.
Yeah, I mean, those are the signs that, when you're in those modes, I really feel like, you're where you're supposed to be, and it's doesn't feel like work, but in the back of your mind, you're like, man, this is work. And like, I am just like grooving. And you're like, one of my friends asked me to like go out tonight. I mean, this whole thing, it kind of turns into like this relationship you have with technology. You know what I mean? And you're like, all right, we're going to have some dinner together. I'm going to make a sandwich and we're going to hang out together.
Yeah.
And what's even like crazy about it, and I'm just thinking about it now, is so I work out at the gym, and I got into the gym probably in like my mid 30s. And I'm the type of person, once I like say I'm in, I'm like in, and I was consistent 3 or 4 days for like a bunch of years. And then COVID hit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stop going to the gym. And then they opened everything up. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym. And I didn't go to the gym. And then next week, I didn't go to the gym. I didn't go to the gym. And then finally, I got myself back into the gym because mentally I was like, I know I'm going to commit to this on a weekly basis. So when you're like editing and you're doing this podcast stuff, you're like, okay, well, I'll jump on there for like an hour and that's great. But then sometimes you're like, man, if I walk away right now, I'm going to have to figure out in my mind with my schedule, like how I'm going to get back to like sitting down and really concentrating on my art. So I was thinking about the two things and I'm like, it's funny how the human brain works, but we have to like tell ourselves that we're ready to do something. And then we jump in and we freaking do it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's like Ellie's mentioning in the comments right now. When you have a passion for what you're doing, time flies by, and you're right. It does. It's one of those things, like you're saying. Like you start noticing that you have to like start planning things out, and then you start seeing that certain things start taking up your time, and you start debating on what's going to take more of your time and what you're going to focus on, because I struggle with that too. It's like you're saying, once you start doing this or that, it starts taking time away from other things, and you start questioning if it's something that you really want to dedicate yourself to, or that you really need to do, or what's more important to you. I've been finding that issue myself as well too, like trying to go to the gym. I used to go to the gym very frequently and as often as I could, just to stay in shape, just to stay active, because if it wasn't for the gym, I was always stuck in an office or at work, or if not, I was at home trying to edit or be a dad. And so you always struggle with that thing of trying to not necessarily keep up with people, but just stay active, stay healthy, and not start getting too used to and accustomed to bad habits where they really don't do you any benefit. So it's true, man. I know it takes a while, especially when it's something that you do consistently and then you take a break from it. It's hard to get right back into that consistency mode of repetitively working out and sticking to something. It's you get comfortable, you get real comfortable.
Yeah, my dad always used to say, we can't get out of our own way. Have you ever heard that slogan before? You can't get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Like there's always something inside of you that is in the way, and it's not really in the way. You created this thing that's inside your brain. And what I love about this being my first podcast is, you know, one of the things that I did when I joined Vee Friends about 6 months ago was I needed to learn to listen. Okay. I was the person that, I DJ'd since I was 14 years old. I was the MC. I was the hip hop music director for 91.7 FM. Shout out. And, I was a 19-year-old white boy with all hip hop DJs. And they were like, who the hell is this Mr. Brett DeVito, and I put on a show with like EPMD and DOS effects. And then all through my teens and into my 20s, I was DJing. So I always felt like the person that's in the room that is, talking and, bringing up topics is, the person that, kind of has it all together. I didn't think that I had it all together, but I was doing it because I thought that the people that were silent, just were shy, and it's not that they're shy. Like, so now 6 months in, I really haven't been jumping on spaces. I've been really taking the time to learn about Vee Friends, be respectful of Vee Friends and the OGs. And, over time, I look at it as we're all the same on Vee Friends. You know what I mean? There's none of this, there's none of that. Everybody's there to help each other, and which made my process great. And there was a bunch of people that were like, all right, Brett, you got to get out there, you got to get out there. And I'm like, I don't know if they're ready for this. And I was on Rob Messer, and Rob Messer and Chels from day one have been like the biggest sweethearts, man. Like, I feel like I've known them since like they were part of my family, and I've never even met them in person or had like a FaceTime like we're having right now. But yeah, I just wanted to listen, and it was so different from how I've approached everything else. And it's been really, really, really wonderful. And I take every day as a learning experience, like I think you do. Like, I remember when I was in for like the first couple of months, and you would send out these texts, I mean these tweets, and you were trying to like get to that point where you were gonna like go on your computer and figure out some of this software. And which was great about you is that you were telling everybody how you were feeling, and it really helped me out with knowing that you were wearing your heart on your sleeve. And then you're growing, and while you're growing, you're learning. And now I came to you like six weeks ago, and I said, hey, teach me. So it's like you were the Padawan. Now you're becoming a little bit of a Jedi, and I'm still a Padawan. And as we go, we know what the struggle is, and we know what everybody else behind us is going through. So we accept it, and we respect it, and we want to push everybody forward. And at the same time, you're talking to Ben and you're talking to Josh, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I'm helping everybody. I'm learning. And like, dude, you're doing such a great job. I'm so proud of you. And I'm really, really glad to be on your show.
I really appreciate that, man. I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate you taking the time, man. And it's like you're saying, it's the community. I really feel like, because in all honesty, if it wasn't for I started podcasting right around the time of COVID, because I set up everything. To my master plan was to have a recording studio and to work on music, and I invested all my time, money, and energy into like my one last idea of I'm gonna set up a simple recording studio, and I'm just gonna focus on indie artists and make sure they have a place to come, and not only have equipment that they have access to, but I can teach them everything I know, introduce them to everyone I know, and just help out. And COVID hit, and it made me have to pivot everything. And in all honesty, if it wasn't for Gary Vaynerchuk and the content he puts out, and for him building the community of Vee Friends, I wouldn't have came across the right people who would have changed my mindset from thinking I had nothing else and there was no way to adapt or change or figure anything out. If it wasn't for all the positivity and the motivation and support that I get from the people in the Vee Friends community, I wouldn't have done podcasting. I started podcasting because of that. I came, of just like anything else, you always come across these speed bumps, or these potholes, as I like to call them, in your little journey that you're going through. And sometimes they really mess up your ride so bad that you're stuck at the side of the road, whether debating on whether you're going to try to find a way and hitchhike and keep going, or just hoof it the rest of the way, or whether you're going to turn around and go back home. And a
But
lot of the times, yep.
but if you didn't have to pull over, and you just kept on going down the road, you probably would not be as far in your journey as you are today. And when COVID happened, I, I learned before COVID, and which helped me out, is that my whole life since I've been younger, I've been taking care of my mental health. I was kind of like just brought up that way. And God bless my mother. She always, put, therapy in our lives at an early age, and she had good insurance because she worked as a surgical tech at a hospital. And you know, when I was in my early 20s, I would go, I would just call my insurance company and be like, I need a therapist, and then you would talk to like some of your peers and they would be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I have to talk to anyone. Or they'll be like, oh, I don't want to deal with the insurance thing. Or I went on the website and I saw all the numbers and I called a bunch of them and no one got back to me. And it's like, someone's going to call you back. You know what I mean? And I really, really appreciate me knowing that it really doesn't matter who your therapist is. It's just good that you can talk about your feelings and not be judged. And I feel as though Vee Friends is a lot like that. Like Vee Friends is going to put a lot of bad therapists out of business in the next 5-10 years.
I agree with you. And that's a lot of the things that we both, I guess, gravitate, and that's what makes people, I believe, gravitate to Vee Friends and the community and the people in it so much, is that in one way, shape, or form, I don't know if it's a bad thing or how, like, I don't mean to say it in a bad way, but I feel like everyone that's in the Vee Friends community has gone through something, which is why all of us have some way, shape, or form. We have a level of understanding and not judging. And it's just, I don't know if it makes any sense, but I feel like all of us have been waiting for an excuse to be like, it's okay. And that's what Vee Friends did. I feel like Vee Friends basically gave everyone the excuse to say it's okay to say that you're hurt or you're lost or you're confused or that you made a mistake or that you don't know or you need help or like all those things that I don't know about many other people, but I was raised that you don't ask for help, that you don't say you're upset or that you're depressed or you're stressed or you have issues or you can't do it or you need help. Like, not by my parents, but it's like from society and what you grew up, you don't show your emotions. It was a sign of weakness, and it just sucks that because of that, growing up that way, a lot of us in the community we created like this defense mechanism of wanting to not show that side because we feel like we're either going to get judged or taken advantage of. And it's gotten to the point that when you start slowly breaking through that and you start really showing like your inner self that you've been dying to show to everyone or say things that you've been wanting to say and express your feelings, and you start noticing that people are like, okay, that's fine. And you're like, really? It's not a big deal. And like the fact that you're surrounded more by that acceptance, like you start noticing like, yo, I don't really got to be like this, or it's okay. Or you start noticing like you give yourself permission to start trying these different things, start streaming, start making content, start going to these events and meeting these people who you don't know from a hole in the wall, who you've only been speaking to online. Like when you break down what Vee Friends is and how people act in this community, it sounds crazy to someone who's not in it. They're like a whole bunch of strangers are willing to help each other blindly and support each other for no reason, just because they want to. And to other people, it sounds like there has to be something. What's the catch? No, there's not. And it's the same as like Gary Vee. Gary Vee, like when you look at it from another perspective and you see everything that's going on as far as what he's doing and the money he's raising or the projects he starts and the people he works with, everyone starts to assume, oh, it's an act, it's a show, it's this, that. But then when you're in it for so long, you're like, all right, maybe this person isn't full of shit. Maybe this isn't an act. Maybe this isn't a gimmick. And then you start noticing the community and the people in it, and you start questioning, there's no way these stories are true, that this person needed help and they got it, or this stopped them from making a bad decision, or this and that. And then you start seeing the proof, and it's hard to deny it. And then when you're actually physically there and you're around it, it's really, really difficult not to give in to the thing of just accepting people for who they are and opening up and just being honest with yourself and true to your feelings. And like all these things that I never thought would happen, or the way I would act, started happening with this community. And the reason it's really like a mind fuck to me is because, like I keep saying, it's a bunch of people I do not know. It's people that you would think like you would have more excuse to be defensive and be closed off. but you're not. Like, you get like this feeling from all these people, like it's okay and they're accepting. It's like you said, like for whatever reason you speak to these people, and it does not take long for you to feel as if you've known these people your entire life. And I think the main key behind that is the understanding. People understand what you're going through. Maybe all of them haven't been through it themselves firsthand, but they've been through enough that when they look at you and they hear the way you express yourself, or the things you say, or the words you choose to use in what you're saying, they can get a good idea, like, all right, this person knows pain, or this person knows struggle, or this person knows what it's like to be denied, or to be told they're not good enough, or like you can see that. And I feel like all of us together, we start, not only are we looking to be accepted and looking for what's going to help us keep moving forward and feel like we're good enough, or we're complete, or we have what it takes to do what we really want to do, but at the same time, I feel like it's like you said, like it's each one teach one. That's what a lot of people say in Vee Friends. And it's like that. We know what it's like to be there, to feel like we don't know what's going on and we don't have help. So being that we've gotten that from the community, it's not even like a rule or something. It's like this thing we feel like we can do the same for the next person. You don't got to be an expert at it, but it's good enough to get you started. Like, you saying that and using the Star Wars reference really geeks me out, because I love that. But it's one of those things that it's like, I never thought of it like that. But the fact that you, from the other point of view, the other perspective, is saying that to me, it fills me with joy, because I've had that same feeling towards someone else, towards Ben, towards Josh or Tom, who, you know what I'm saying? So I completely understand where you're coming from in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say, if I had to pick one thing about Vee Friends that, you know, it bothers me, and I hate when it happens, I would have to say it's the only negative thing. And I understand that that's all up here. But when someone asks me what Vee Friends is, I just crumble inside. I'm like, I think to myself, okay, let me think about, Vee Friends has so many different facets, and I really want to explain Vee Friends, how we're talking about Vee Friends, but that's very difficult to do with somebody that isn't in Vee Friends. I mean, Vee Friends is more of a feeling. Vee Friends breaks down the fear inside of you. I mean, you jumped on a train to go to a place called Bleecker Trading to go see a bunch of people that you don't know. And you walked in, you were nervous and you were taking videos. And then I was like feeling for you, you're like, all right, we're about 10 minutes away. And then you're like, all right, we're going in. And I knew like 30 seconds after you walked in and you bumped into somebody, you were going to be like,
100%. 100%.
But I was going through your roller coaster ride, because I would have been doing the same thing. It's special. I always ask myself, if I think this would have worked if COVID never happened. And when COVID happened, I always felt that when things get really, really bad, it's the universe challenging you. And the universe challenged all of us, all at the same time. And I just kept on telling myself that there is going to be like the light at at the end of that tunnel, that we're going to be happy. Maybe not soon, but we're going to be happy that COVID happened, because I really do believe that people understand what it all means, and what it's really supposed to be about, and it definitely sped up, kids that were in college. I always felt bad for the kids that were in college during COVID. I'm like, these are the best 4 years of your life. and they closed down all the bars and clubs your junior and senior year of college. Well, I I've bumped into many people within Vee Friends and outside of Vee Friends, and the way their minds work is the way my mind works in my mid-40s. And man, I'm happy to be where I'm at in this life. But if I had that mental ground that I have today in my mid-20s, man, it'd be pretty explosive. You would have a lot more people, not to get political, but you would have a lot less people in their 70s running for president, you know?
100% agree with you. I think that's why I really like V Friends and everything. I feel like if every time that I'm around the people and I start listening to their conversations, like the last time I was at VCon, it was something that it really changed me to the point like I was really trying to look forward to going to this year. But it was something that those 3 days really changed a lot about me and the way I looked at things, and I don't know. I loved it, and the only thing I kept asking myself when I was around all these random people, like normally I get really bad anxiety, especially around crowds and everything. A lot. What I've never really said, I always say it in a different way, and I always say that I bring my friend Eric, who's with me in like most of my videos and everything like that. And I say I bring him with me because he's the one in charge of scheduling and all that. But in all honesty, it's because I have this anxiety that's so horrible. I can't go anywhere by myself. I have anxiety attacks. I can't breathe. I black out. Like, and I was never like this. I used to do music. I was a music artist. I was on stage. I did music videos. I performed in front of people. I'd freestyle. I'd do like at a drop of a hat. It didn't bother me, nothing. But then I don't know what the fuck happened over the years that I developed this thing of becoming a recluse and closing myself far from society, that when I started trying to get back into it and I was getting comfortable again, COVID happened. And then it forced me to close off from everybody as much as I was trying. And then I started feeling like I was losing my mind because like the plan was to move forward and expand and get out there. And then there was something that was out of my control telling me, nope, you're staying. Like before you had all the reason to go out. And like I was losing it because I felt like the movies where it's like you were free and everything. And now that you didn't take advantage of it. Now that you want to take advantage, you don't have that freedom no more. So it was making me regret so much of what I didn't do, what I didn't try. And I'm like, now I'm in a position where I really felt like this is the way it was going to be for a really long time. And I was like, that opportunity of doing it's gone. So then once everything stopped again and everything was back, I'm like, you know what? I can't like, so I started going into it again. I started, you know what I mean? And if it wasn't for just being around all these people and the positivity and stuff, I wouldn't have did it. But it's like you're saying, it's like, I always ask myself, if I would have had this type of thing, or if this existed when I was younger, like I'd rule the fucking world right now. The amount of love and support and confidence that you get from these people, like it's just crazy. And that's why I'm like, I really believe in it. That's why I try my best to share whatever I can about Vee Friends and tell people that it exists. A lot of people hear it or hear Gary Vaynerchuk, and just because of the stigma of NFTs, they automatically have their mind set on what they think they know that it is. And they don't take the time to really start looking. It's like you said, it has so many different facets to it, from the NFTs, from the products that they have, from the plushies to the cards to the figurines to VCon to like, but even past all that, it's more about the community, and people don't look past any of that stuff to get to the good part, which is the community, the people, the real thing that's going on, you know? But I totally agree with you on that, man. I think that if this existed when we were younger, and that's why I feel it's gonna do big things. Once that my kids know about it, but once they're old enough to really go to events and like really start talking to these people that are like-minded, and I feel like it's just gonna help them even more, you know?
Who is this Vaynerchuk guy? What's his name? Who is he? Who's that guy?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, never heard of him. But
Uh,
I always wish him the best. But you know, so I was gonna go to VCon 2 years ago, and I had followed Gary, not crazy, but I saw some stuff he was doing on Facebook, and then I was like, you know what? I like the way he's thinking. I like the way that he's honest. I love the way that he he made his his future. You know what I mean? He wasn't born into it. He had to do all the goddamn work. And I really, really respect that. And I was thinking about going to VCon. I even asked one of my good friends, and he was like, "Oh yeah," he's like, yeah, this NFT market." And I was like, "What's that?" And he goes, "Well, it's digital art, but it's gonna help crypto." And we didn't end up going, but I ended up going to MIT with him for a conference to learn about Bitcoin and crypto, and so that first one went by. The second one, I kind of I don't know what I was doing that year, but I was kind of disconnected from it. And then I'm at work, and one of the great things about Gary is that once I like really liked his stuff, and I was at work. I was working for Oracle for 5 years, a Fortune 500, and I hated it, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I learned so much about the world and business and what I wanted and what I didn't want. But I liked Gary on LinkedIn because you can be on LinkedIn at work. And I'm a big advocate of LinkedIn, and I've been processing my LinkedIn's for the past 20 years. Every single person I talk to, or I have to make a phone call to, I've always connected with, because I'm like, why not? Like, I'm in sales. I know that if I'm going to take 30 seconds to make a phone call, I want to get the most out of those 30 seconds. And by me clicking connect, and maybe 10, 15, 20 years, they see where I'm at, and they're like, wow, I always see this guy's posts, or if one of their friends sees a post of mine that they liked, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is networking. And I've always been a numbers guy with sales. And so I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like everybody that is on my list for the past 4 jobs. So I would watch Gary, and VCon 2 was on, and I was like, oh my God, this looks so fun. Like, it was night and day. From like, the first one was like Woodstock, and then the second one was like Daft Punk, like Rave City type of a deal, And what I really want to know is, because I got my hotel, I already got the plane ticket. I'm not missing this one. Where were you leading up to VCon mentally? Like, how early before VCon 2 did you say, I want to do this? And then you're thinking about it, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna go and buy the ticket, and I'm going to put my credit card number in, and I'm gonna jump on the plane. Like, tell me a little bit about that whole episode of the timeline of going to VCon, because that's where I'm at right now, and I gotta learn from, a semi, almost gonna be a Jedi, and
Well, my whole thing with VCon, the first one that came around, I really wanted to go to that, of course, because it was the first one. The way that basically I ended up going was I did I only got introduced to like all the NFT stuff because of Gary. I was in the chat at first. I was just an observer. I was trying to do my like 50 hours of just getting all the information, and from being in the Discord so much, I won the opportunity of being gifted an NFT from Gary. So Gary's like, "Give me your wallet information. I'm gonna send it to you." I was confused, being that I'm still new to the NFT space. I gave him my Coinbase wallet address. I didn't know anything about NFTs as far as having to have a MetaMask and things like that. So I gave him my Coinbase wallet. He sends me the NFT, of course, because it's a Coinbase wallet. I don't get it. So for a couple days, I'm like waiting still, like I'm new to this, so I don't understand what's going on. And people start asking me like, oh, why don't you show or post what he sent you? I'm like, because I never got it. They're like, no, he definitely sent it. He would never lie. And then with all that,
How many months is this before VCon, by the way?
this was in the beginning of the year of 2023. No, maybe this was this was the first year. This was the first 2022, the first VCon year. And when he was doing book
sent you an
games,
NFT before VCon 1?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he gifted me one, and that's basically what triggered me to go down the rabbit hole of NFTs. That was my full on board onto NFTs. Like I was at first just learning about it, and I kept saying I'm gonna make a wallet, I'm gonna do this, and I never did it. And then being that he's like, oh, you won something, I'm like, well, I can't just say no, I don't have a wallet. He's gonna be like, motherfucker, make a wallet. So I made a wallet, and I went through the steps, and he's the one who actually walked me through the steps via DM on Twitter. He followed me on Twitter. I followed him back, and then he's like, hey, what's up? Like, what's going on? And I told him, I was like, listen, I really appreciate you gifting me something, but I really don't know what I'm doing. So if you want to give it, I didn't understand how it works. So I told him, I was like, if you want to give it to somebody else, I understand. He goes, well, I already sent it to you, to the wallet you gave me. And then after I understood that it doesn't work that way. He told me, listen, I'll send you another one. And he connected me one of the people in the Vee Friends community, and they set it up, and they were like, listen, we're gonna help you do this and that, blah blah blah. It took probably a few minutes or so, but I got the NFT, and it was my first NFT. And after that, I was hooked. I started like trying to understand. Once I saw it, I kept looking at it every day and analyzing it, the value of it, the traits, and like the difference in it. Then I started looking at the collection and all the other different stuff in it. And the more and more I looked at it, the more and more I started understanding why he was pushing it, why he was using that for Vee Friends, why. So like it helped me getting that first NFT and going through the process of making a wallet, exchanging it, and understanding why it didn't work with a Coinbase wallet. Like all those little things and mess ups help me better understand the process and get a better picture of why blockchain was important, why crypto was important, why NFTs made sense. Like I started understanding better, because the more and more I would question things like, what's stopping you from screenshotting it? What's stopping you from stealing it? What's stopping you? Like, how do you know it's really mine? How do you? And the more hands-on that you got with it, the more you started saying, oh, okay, this makes sense. And then
what was the NFT that he gave to you?
the NFT he gave me was the project was called WTF Strawberry. And what it is it's these little strawberry heads that are like digitized. They're like digital NFT, like looking like old school retro digital stuff.
You didn't tell your boys this story, did you?
Who?
You didn't tell your boys this story.
Nah, they don't even. They don't. Yeah, nah. And the thing is about that NFT project, the reason it was really interesting is because the NFTs you buy, you can use as avatars in their video game that they have. It's like an old school Game Boy video game that they have. Like they had like this whole rollout that they did that was amazing. But seeing them and what they did and how they utilized the blockchain and NFTs to do this really intrigued me, and I understood it more. So all of that got me to be like, you know what? I want to learn more. I need to surround myself with more people who know about this. I got to go to VCon. That was my first reason of wanting to go to VCon. Then I started seeing it was just by the time I really made up my mind of like doing all the research and realizing, you know what, I want to learn more about this because I want to see how I can take advantage of it and use this for whatever I'm doing. It was already to the point, I think it was like a month or so left. Tickets were already high, rooms were high. So I didn't get to go to the first one. The second one came up, and I was really active in the community that a person by the name of Tim Livingston, I don't know if you know him, he's the original creator of Vector Bots that's now turned into Living Bots.
Yeah, he's a school teacher.
Yes, he gifted me 2 VCon tickets. And that's because, again, he understood that I had issues traveling and whatnot alone. And so he gifted me 2 of them that I used for me and my best friend, Eric. And again, being that I got him gifted to me, it was one of those things like the Gary Vaynerchuk situation. He gifted me something. I had to figure out how to make it work and use it. I wasn't going to be like, go give it to someone else. So I had it. I was like, you know what, I'm done to go. So then it was just down to me struggling to like I was doing garage sales. I was flipping whatever I could, like just to make the money to get the flight and the hotel room. And I went half on half with my friend, and we ended up going. And at first I thought I would regret it because of like what I was spending But the second I landed and I started seeing people at the airport and we started sitting down and talking and that, I literally didn't care about anything. I didn't care about who was going to be performing. I didn't care about who was going to be speaking. I went from going in with the intentions of wanting to learn everything about blockchain and NFTs and who did coding and who did designing and all, to not giving a shit about any of that. And all I wanted to do was meet people. Like literally within like the second I started talking to people, like when you get to the airport, it's hard not to know, even if they're not wearing Vee Friends stuff, if for some reason you know them. The PFPs will just pop in your head, or names of people, or you'll hear and you'll be like, are you so and so? Are you? And they'll be like, yeah, yeah. And like you'd be surprised. And everyone, it's like it literally felt like everyone was just meeting up at the airport to have the Vee Friends meetup or VCon. And then Jeremy pops out of nowhere. And then like you'll just start seeing people that you're like, okay, they're finally here in person. And you think it's gonna be like awkward a little bit, and it's not. It's like they'll like, I don't know how to explain it. For some reason in the Vee Friends community, we can all sense if you're going to be hesitant to approach us or something, that we do the move for you because we know what it's like. So everyone else is like that also. If you feel hesitant to go up to someone and say, they'll kind of know it, and they'll come up to you, be like, hey, are you so-and-so? Or are you a Vee Friend? Or they'll ask you here for VCon or Gary Vee. Like they'll say anything that'll trigger you, be like, yeah. And automatically, like you'll just start you all the things of you overthinking, worrying, all that just melts away, and you just feel safe. You feel comfortable. You feel like you're in a safe environment, and you just start talking and you start sharing. You start exchanging social media or phone numbers, and you start making plans to link up later or before or after certain talks or whatever. Because in all honesty, like I made a list of all the talks I wanted to go to and people I wanted to try to have on the vlog and interview and all, but I literally lost sight of all of that when like after the first day, and like everyone was just, how you doing, how you been, how's, and I'm like, yo, these people actually care. Like I thought it was just like a thing they did online, like, hey, like every day, good morning, huh? And it's really like that. Yo, how you doing? Did you eat? You want to go get some? We're gonna get some food. How's everything? How are your kids? How? And it's Eric, my best friend Eric, who's not even on social media, being that I mention him a lot. There were people just going up to him, you must be Eric. You're Eric. And he was surprised. He's like, how the hell do these fucking people know my name? Like, and it was like me experiencing that for the first time, and then bringing my best friend who was new to the NFT space, and on top of that, new to Vee Friends and Gary Vaynerchuk. Like he questioned it a bit. And being that I was able to experience that and give that as a first time experience, like entry point to my best friend, was amazing, because he didn't feel uncomfortable. He felt welcomed, and it just made him be like, when VCon was over, he's like, yo, so how can I learn more about this? He goes, when's the next one? He goes, we're going to the next one, right? The next one's in a year. He goes, well, we got a year. He goes, let's. So it's like that, giving that feeling to someone else when I was hesitant and I thought I would be judged for like wanting to be around, it just felt amazing. So in all honesty, like it's one of those things that you feel stressed out from planning it, and it starts building up and working towards that day, that when you finally get to that point and you finally get there, it's a real stress reliever. You feel it's just, it's a better, it's hard to describe the feeling that you get. In all honesty, it's really hard. It's one of those things that when you get there, it's not something you're gonna forget. You're gonna remember whether you have pictures or not. It's a really good, amazing time.
It's, you know, you bring up a lot of really good points. And since we've been talking, the same thing comes up. And it has to do with a feeling. And it's a feeling that we all have. And we don't feel like we have to be someone. I feel like everybody knows how they want to be treated, and so they don't have to like put on a character, or like, you know, living in Boston, the one thing that I don't like about Boston is when people from outside of Boston come to Boston, everybody's got their guard, like we all in Boston, like, we're great people, but for someone to come from outside of Boston and like go to Boston for the first time, and they've never lived in like a city, they're like, you can feel the energy. Everybody's got their guard up. So, and I've been trying to understand about NFTs. I don't know if I'll ever get into NFTs. I love it. I love art. I love the drive of the people that really love it and want to see it succeed. I want to see it succeed. There's, but you bought this thing that was strawberry. And if you went and Gary said, okay, you can go into the mall of NFTs and you can pick whatever you want, you probably wouldn't pick the strawberry. Okay. But you built a feeling with this strawberry. So, my question to you is, does it matter what character or what NFT you get?
No.
It's just a feeling that you have in this connection with this piece. It's like when you grow up, Eric is your security blanket. You know what I mean? I had uh, I had this teddy bear that my dad's father got me, and my whole life I thought it was a bear, so I called it Barry. And then I turned like 18 years old, and I found it in a box, and I go, "What is Barry?" And I go, "It's a freaking monkey." This thing a bear, and it's a freaking monkey.
Uh,
And I still love it the same. It doesn't matter what it is, And that's the funny thing. Like, I feel like now that the internet's here, and Gary said it in a video, he doesn't think that he would have been able to be as successful. He goes, I would be successful, but not as successful if it wasn't for the internet. It helped me get a reach to people. And when, if you grew up on a farm and had llamas and you see that llama in your mind, you just go, there's nothing else in the world I want that llama. And with the internet, you can find all these people that love and feel certain things. And it is, it's important to pass NFTs on to other people, because sometimes you can't hold on to everything. You can't hold on to things forever. You get stale. You have to gift it. Give the person that gave you that feeling an opportunity to get to a point that we're getting to. Pay it forward, and then the next time it comes around, you get to pick something that connects with you. And it's really just feelings. And I always used to tell people, like, I grew up as a Catholic, and I went to Sunday school, and my grandparents took us to church, but we didn't have to go to church every week. But I always kind of got a little upset. I didn't care what a person's religion was. I always felt that they should have something that they believe in. I didn't even care if it was a number 2 pencil. You know what I mean? I could care less, but have something that you're passionate about and that you connect with, and it just helps you become a better person and work through fear. And, when you do those interviews, and you will, with Andy and Rips, you have to get Eric. He can be off camera, but he's got to be sitting there, because his name's going to come up, and he'll be like the Ed McMahon, and you can just hear Eric. And the whole time, people are going to be like, yep, the security blanket's right there, man.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, nah, that's yeah, 100% right though, man. But all of that, man, I just it's one of those things, man. Like, it's, you don't really know how you're gonna react to it. You don't know how it's gonna affect you in any way, or good way or positive way or whatever, until you just do it. You tend to overthink and you question, and it's just one of those things that it's different. It's something different that you're not used to, or that people aren't accustomed to either seeing or hearing about. So you question it, and you start, we always feel like people need to have like a reason behind doing good things. You know, it's hard to believe that people just want to be good nowadays, you know, especially with the way the world has been turning out lately. So when you come across a community like this, a lot of people who don't understand, or it's like you said, like it's hard to get people who aren't in the community to know about the community. It's one of those things that you can't explain. You just got to tell them like, yo, just come to an event or just get into the chat and get it. And a lot of people, that's the thing. It's like you're saying, technology is a big reason why a lot of this is a very successful in the sense of keeping us all connected. You know, people tend to forget that we are literally all that's stopping us from being in the hands of everybody. Like we're in everyone's pocket. We're literally in everyone's pocket. There's nothing stopping anyone from talking to you, whether they know you or they don't. The whole thing is trying to get their attention. I always try to tell people who always that I've been working on having as many conversations a day as I can with anyone looking to network, communicate, and grow. So I've been aiming for 5 conversations a day, at least, you know, 20 minutes or so, half hour, you know, depending on how the day is or what the conversation's about. And in those conversations, when I tell people anything about social media or why I look at it the way I do or why I think it's a big part, I say it's because everyone has a phone. There's people that I know that are dead broke and they have a phone and they have access to internet and they're on social media or whatever. They don't have a job, but they're on it. And I always tell people, if even a person who's poor has a cell phone, like you have no excuse. Like you can literally have access to everyone you want. You have to look at the cell phone and the internet like a highway. Your job is to create a billboard or something to get someone's attention, to make them stop, slow down, and take the next exit that's going to go to whatever it is you're trying to sell, you're trying to show, you're trying to pitch, you're trying to teach, whatever it is. That's your job. Because right now, everyone on their phone, I guarantee you, uses it for the same thing. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Like no one really uses a phone for what a phone's really supposed to be used for. We just use it for social media and to kill time. Like we don't, before we used to use it to talk. We don't even talk. We just text now. We don't want to text. We don't want to, you know what I mean? So it's rare for people to have conversations, even like we're doing through a live stream, let alone over a phone, because they want to do it through text message, you know, unless they personally know someone. So it's like doing things with someone like you and getting the opportunity to get to know someone different on another level and using technology like this. It's the same thing as you taking advantage of that technology to learn or to help other people learn or to help improve or spread positivity. Or we have enough negative stuff online. Everywhere you go online, the reason all these artists or people who are not talented and don't last long are very famous is because they get popular based off the fact that they're willing to put themselves out there, regardless if they're talented, regardless if they know what they're talking about or not. They don't care about being judged. There are more people willing to scroll and watch and view on a phone than there are people willing to put something out there for you to see. So if you're one of those people that's willing to create content and put it out there on a consistent, it doesn't need to be every day. Yes, that helps the algorithm. Forget about the algorithm. It's what helps you, what makes you feel better. If you feel good editing every day, a video every day, or if it takes you 2 or 3 days to edit a video and you want to make a video every week or whatever, but it's up to you. Do you like editing videos? It's like we mentioned earlier. Does it not bother you to spend that time or those hours and have it go by like nothing when you're working on an edit, when you're learning something new, when you're writing a blog, when you're working on a POAP design or an NFT design, or when you get to that point, it's that thing that it doesn't bother you. And then you have to start asking yourself, okay, so how do I get this out to people? And it's social media, it's technology, it's like you're saying, it's all of it is combined with each other. And if it wasn't for technology, it's not just Gary Vaynerchuk, it's all of us. I don't think any of us would have either the inspiration or the reach to get knowledge that we don't have access to near us. You know, it's a lot of things, but I do believe a lot of us just need to learn just the basics of technology. You know, I think everyone should know how to stream or how to do a video chat or how to, like, you know, not because they have to make content, but I feel like even if you're not making content, this could be a great way to stay in contact with someone, to communicate with someone, to do a business meeting, to, you know, to do a job. A lot of these people, like, I believe COVID really showed a lot of things as far as using technology to take advantage on being productive, for working from home, from doing things for school. Like, yes, there's advantages of being in person, but there's also advantages of using technology if it's used in the right way. And NFTs is a great example of that. NFTs, the blockchain, and the way that they do things, and all of that, I believe, is something that people should also learn about, because it's just another form of you using your Apple Pay or you're tapping your debit card when you, all of that is no different than NFT technology. It's just as a different name, and it's a different evolution of that same technology. But again, I feel like it's something
like
that
the teddy bear. It's like the
Mhm.
teddy bear. You know what I mean? But
Nope.
it doesn't have to be physical to, like, do anything. And I still have that berry, which is a monkey. And at some point, I'll introduce VFam to it. But that guy has been in a box for 25 years, and just because I know he's in that freaking box, so it's, and as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, a lot of people are scared about AI. I'm scared about AI. I'm less scared now being in Vee Friends, because there's a good chance that Vee Friends could help actually save AI from it working the way that it's supposed to. Look at technology, it's going to grow. There's nothing we can do about it. So you can either fight it and be like, "Oh, I don't like this. Oh, I don't like that. I wish we could just go back when, there were phones on the walls and, like, curled up phone cords that we had to untangle and, like, get a bigger phone cord so we could bring it into our bedroom and, like, talk." Um, it's happening. So what we can do is prepare ourselves mentally on how we can benefit from the technology. Like, if we just stayed the way that things were, I don't think society would make it. But with us growing and getting more people that are, feel more good about where they're at and what's happening in the world, the better chance we have with AI being successful, because it's going to happen anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's something. That's why I say I think that everyone should at least have some basic knowledge, whether it comes to technology, whether it comes to crypto, whether it comes to blockchain, NFTs. I strongly feel like all of that is going to play a major role in everyone's life in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's how we get paid, that's how you make payments, whether you use NFTs as the new way as to signing leases or contracts for houses or renting or apartments or any. I believe that a lot of that is going to take over what we are currently using, just because of the fact it has been shown to be a more secure way of documenting and keeping track of things. And with the way that things have been going, that's, if you pay attention to the way everything is, that's the main thing that, whether the state, the government, however you want to look at it, society, little by little, whether it's even government stuff or even just regular stores that you go to, and grocery stores, and everything is based upon collecting information on the people who are using anything in those transactions, whether it's money, clothing, food, any goods, like services. Everything is about getting their email, their phone number, their address, finding out how much they spend, when they spend it, how often, why they don't, what they like, what they don't like. And when you look at everything, it's like you're saying, it's all AI stuff, it's all coding, it's all, everything has to do back to technology. Why? Because we all live in this world of the internet. We, like, if you think about it, without the internet, a lot of us, we can't do a lot of things. Everything just goes to shit. we've been depending so much on technology and digital versions of this and that it's just to the point that everyone feels it's just a better way to control things, whether you're looking at it in a way to control, to be more manageable and be more organized, or whether you're looking at it in a way to be controlling in the sense of making sure that you hold authority and you tell people what they can and can't do. That's why I feel like no matter how you look at it, it's going to be something that's going to be implemented for everybody across the board, because whether it's us as regular civilians and people who use it in our everyday lives, or whether it's the big time corporations or the state or the government, every way it's shown that everyone can benefit from it. It's just finding the right people who are going to use it in a way that they're not going to take advantage. Because just like anything else, technology has its loopholes or its little sides that people really don't understand and know that they can take advantage of just because they got a little head start in the game. Because right now, if you think about it, everyone, there's probably a 13-year-old who's been collecting Bitcoin for I don't know how many years at like $5 at a time a week or something. And then let's say next month out of nowhere, the United States decides, you know what, United States currency is now Bitcoin. The one who's going to be a millionaire is that little kid. So right now it's really, and even if he doesn't, if he wasn't the type to be investing in Bitcoin, just for the fact that someone understands what they need to do in order to invest in Bitcoin or get a little bit of it, they're already ahead of the game. So it's things like that that I feel people should know about, whether it's one, to not be taken advantage of, or two, just to be better prepared, because I strongly feel like all of this one day, just at a flip of a switch, is going to be the new norm. They're going to just think about how many people were going against the chip, of having the chip on their card and having to go scan, and how many people were
brain.
Exactly. Like all these, whether it's conspiracy or not, you have to understand that in some way, shape, or form, all of these things, they become in our everyday lives. That's something that we use. Think about how many people were going to say they weren't going to use cell phones, or how many people say they were never going to use debit cards and only stick to using cash. Like, I haven't seen a person carry cash in a very long time. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen a person not like when the credit card or the debit card first came out and everyone was like, oh, that's not safe, I don't want to. Now no one cares. No one, like, it's the new thing, the internet. Gary says it all the time. So many people are against the internet and email, and now it's like a thing that you have to have it. Everyone has an email. Like, even my kids have an email because they want to have social media accounts. And when you look at it at that point of when you have young kids on their tabs, on their phones, or using any type of device just to get online, to scroll and pointlessly watch all this, you have to start thinking about it like, all right, when I was young, I was a version of that, always playing games and always watching TV. Now the TV has been replaced with the cell phone. So like everything, whether it's information, entertainment, or communication, everything is on the cell phone. So you have to find a way to be the first thing that shows up on someone's cell phone. And your question is, are you going to distract them, educate them, or are you trying to find a way to get them to buy something from you? You know? And that's really all it really is. But when you're focusing on doing the good and you're focusing on putting like positivity out there, I believe it's a lot easier to do that nowadays because, like I said, there's more negativity and there's more people claiming they know this and they know. It's really hard to get through that. But I always strongly feel that real recognizes real. So if you could find a way to be completely honest and upfront and show proof of work and like what you're talking about and how, like, all right, listen, I've done it, so I know from firsthand experience, when you could do that, I believe that that's where social media really starts coming in and helping people. And like, that's where what it's supposed to be used for. Now it's just used for distraction.
Yeah. I during COVID, like, so I was the type of person when I was DJing, after I came back, I lived in Manhattan. I lived in Greenwich Village for 2 years. My sister moved out there when she was 18, and she had been out there. I went to go visit her, and I was like, I need a change. And I went out there, and I lived there for 2 years. And I spent $20 a week, and I would go to the CVS across the way off of Bleecker Street, and I would buy $20 worth of food, and I would live because I wasn't getting a job out there. You know what I mean? Like, I thought, oh, Manhattan, there's plenty of jobs. And so the first day I walked, I said, okay, Viacom is on like 46th and I'm on 4th. So that's only like 42 blocks. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, so I know that a block only takes you like 2 minutes. So I'm like, you know what? This will be a good time. Had a tie, had the vest. 42 blocks in Manhattan is a lot different than the suburbs of freaking Boston, you know? And I showed up and I had these big sweat marks underneath my arms. And I go, yeah, I'm here. I want to get a job on TRL. And they go, do you have an appointment? And I'm like, no, I just want to talk to somebody and drop off my resume. They said, you have to have an appointment. And I'm just sitting myself, I'm like, I don't know when I'm ever going to be here again. So I was just kind of walking around and I was looking at things and I go, the elevator's right there. I'm going to try to scoot in that elevator, And I made it into the elevator and I'm freaking out. And I went up to, I forget what floor it was. And I was right there. And the girl's like, yeah, can I help you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here to get a job. This is my second day in Manhattan. Yeah, I'm here to get a job. Got my tie on, sweaty arms. I go, yeah, I got my resume right here. And I gave her my resume and she goes, okay, that's great. I'm glad that you came in. I'm going to take this and I'm going to file it away. And at some point when something opens up, we'll go through our resumes. And I said, yeah, I know, but I know what's going to happen. That resume is going to be in the file cabinet. No one's ever going to see it. I go, is there anybody that I could just sit down and talk to? And she goes, everybody's really busy right now. And I said, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And I said, okay. So I left and I walked all the way back down, and that was my first taste of reality. But I'm so happy I didn't get the job, having that history, that memory, is just, it's priceless, so I think, I'm at a different place than I was. But there's a lot of me that's still there. And I think I kind of got off track here, but I was afraid of getting the cell phone that had the touchscreen, and I kept the Nokia. And when you texted people, you had to go A, B, C, and you had to go E, F, and you had to click it all. And at that time, I said, if I'm DJing, why don't I just text everybody that's in my cell phone to come to a party? And people would be like, yeah, I showed up because I got a text message from Brett. And then everybody would show up at the place and they'd be like, oh, I thought he just gave me a text message. Oh, he gave these other 50, 60 people the text message. Now I don't feel as special. But, technology, and I was scared of it. And then at one point I'm like, I got to get I have to get just a regular Apple touchscreen because there's nothing I'm going to do. This is where we're going. But another point I wanted to make was Gary mentioned at one point about algorithms. You have those people in your life. Some of them are, family, older, but they're like, yeah, everything in the news is terrible, and everything on my Twitch screen is terrible, or my Facebook. I got off Facebook. I just went back onto Facebook 2 weeks ago for the first time in 8 or 9 years because I was so sick of knowing what was going on in everybody's life. Their dog is sick. They want to take pictures of the food that they ate. And I said, I'm sick of knowing what everybody else is doing that I just got off Facebook completely. And then people would bump into me and they said, "Why did you get off Facebook?" And I said, "Because when I bump into somebody, I want to ask them questions and I want to know what they're up to. I don't want to go up to somebody and already know 3/4 of the stuff that they've been doing the past 3 years, you know?" So now I learned during COVID with Twitter, Gary said, "You control your algorithm." So I took all the news reporters off my algorithm. I took all the people that would either talk about Republican or Democrat off my Twitter. We control what we're doing day to day, okay? And it's not your algorithm. It's what you choose to create your algorithm. So during COVID, I took because I wasn't on Facebook, I took my Twitter and I got rid of all of that. I never see anything about negativity or politics. And you know what I'm hoping to do with Vee Friends is kind of like what you've been doing for me. I want to help people. I want them to have a place where they're safe. I want to be their Eric. I want to be their Eric. Actually, I was just thinking about that. You at some point should get an NFT, and it's called the Eric. And when you meet people, right, and they're younger, and you go, "Hey, you know what? Let me send you a strawberry." No, no, no. Let me send you an Eric. Who's this Eric in your
I
life?
love that. I fucking love that. I love that idea. I can't believe I never thought of that. I love that. That's literally, I really love that idea, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe I never, you know what's crazy too? You know what's really crazy? Like I mentioned, a lot of what I bring him with me, because like you said, he's like my security blanket. He helps me really break out of that comfort zone and be the old me. He's always cheering me on and giving me that push. And when we were at VCon, I saw Andy was walking around with damn, who the hell was he walking around with D-Rock. He was walking around with D-Rock at VCon, and it was just it was like at, I think it was like the last day or something like that, and everything was like wrapping up. So they were making like their last rounds, like, and just like, I guess, checking out all the booths before they closed up. So I saw him and I'm like, yo, I want to go say hi to Andy. But I was like, what the hell do I have to offer this guy? Like, I don't have nothing to like get his interest or not. Like, I had the podcast, but in my head, I'm like, he's not going to want to be on this, or he doesn't care about it. Like, so I was like hesitant to go up there. And for a good while, I was always making POAPs. POAPs are, I don't know if you know what POAPs are. They stand for Proof of Attendance Protocol. They're little free NFTs you can give people.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so I set them, I created my own POAP. So when I met people at VCon, they would scan it and they would have their own little POAP that, we met at VCon, blah, blah, blah. So I made one and I totally forgot that I even like had it. And so Eric just like, I'll go up to him. Eric goes up to Andy. He's like, "Hey, my friend wants to give you a POAP." And he's like, "Okay." So like, out of everybody that was there at VCon, like, I barely gave anyone a POAP, but Andy, the person who's in charge of VCon and Vee Friends and all, he was like, "Yeah, sure." And he sat there and he took my POAP and we sat and we talked and kicked it for a little bit. And he actually like sat and spoke to me as if like he wasn't in a rush. He wasn't like saying he had to go nowhere. He was like, "So what's going on? How'd you like VCon? And what are you working on?" And I had my camera with, so like, he actually took the time to show that he was interested and like, trying to learn. And like, he showed that he actually cared, not just about how much money everything was bringing in, but if people actually had a good time, if they enjoyed themselves and like who they met. And like, it literally felt like I was talking to anyone else that's in the community. I didn't feel as if I was speaking to anyone above me or someone who was better than me or not. Like, I got really comfortable. And because of that, it got me to the point that I was like, you know what? I want to find a way to try to get involved with these people. I want to work. Like, I always dreaded every place that I worked at. I've hated it. And then being around all these people in Vee Friends and seeing the people that actually work for Gary, I'm like, yo, I want to work here. I want to work around a bunch of people who are really my friends, not who I just pretend to like, and who I actually can talk to and get along with. And I want to go to a place where I'm like, I'm excited to go to work. I'm proud to say I work here. And
Right.
hear about Vee Friends, like that's that. I was like, I would love to get a job there. And it was mostly about like just focusing on getting that experience of being around that type of environment all the time. I grew up around something totally different. So to be exposed to that, I'm like, I wonder how it would be like working in that environment. How successful can someone be? How much can you learn? So, but but it's true though. I got to do that. I can't believe I never thought of doing like a Eric Poap or an Eric coin or NFT type thing. That's
You need an Eric in your life,
yeah,
let me hook you up with an Eric, and the thing is that, you know, I really love hearing about people and the relationships that they have and the way that they talk about people. Like, no offense, PR King of Hearts, but when I was watching your videos in New York City, I was looking at my boy Eric the whole time because I was like, I love that Eric is like, and Eric looks up to you for all the things that are completely opposite of why you look up to him. You know what I
100%.
mean?
100%.
And it's so crazy. It's that yin to the yang, and man, it's really good. And I love it. You're like, all right, I'm here. I'm with my boy Eric, and Eric's
Eric's just there, like, yep,
like
yeah,
I don't care, I'm here for my boy, and
yeah,
I wish I was maybe that person that was grabbing the camera and, PR was like the one just walking behind me, but it's so great. I work at a company called ComSol, and it's a multiphysics software. And basically, it's going to take the job away from people that have to learn physics and get their PhD, because you take a CAD file and you put it into the software, and teaches it does all the physics around what you're building, whether it be a refrigerator, whether it be the inside the metaverse, whether it be Tesla cars uses our software. So it does all the geometry, right? So you take a photo, you put it in there, and then you have to figure out, how much heat from the engines are going to hit like a 2-inch piece of steel. And so then when they go to build the prototype, they don't have to build 10,000 of them. They only have to build a couple of them because the physics around that CAD, they can go. So when I started working there, the people, I was like, why in the heck did they hire me? I'm working with all these people that have PhDs. And I was there for like a couple of months, and they wanted a personality, because they would have the people that have PhDs doing like the sales call, or like, being the podcast host, keeping, and it was just kind of like this.
yeah,
And what I learned was, when we had some outings, that I looked up to them because they're so brilliant, and they're from many different countries. But I asked them what they do on the weekends, and they say, "Oh, I read a book. I went for a hike. I studied." That's what makes them happy. And then they would go, "What did you do this weekend?" And I would be like, "Well, I went with my boy, and we went to this Irish pub. And then on Saturday, we ended up going to this ultra lounge." And they're like, and both of us appreciate each other, because we're like, man, I wish I did that, but that's not what makes me happy. And I go, man, I really wish I just kind of stayed in and read books. So we appreciate each other for two completely opposite things.
100%. No, you're right. You're right. I never like. I was kind of got that, but I never really thought of it. And so it's like there's a lot of things that you're mentioning when it comes to the whole Eric thing that I was never really like.
Uh,
Yeah, it's just crazy. But you're right. You're 100% right though.
yeah, and you know what? Because I'm so my plan is that I am going to have a podcast, and basically I want to bring people I've known my whole life, um, my family, my friends, some friends that I don't see as often, but they were part of like an area of my life, so they can. So I want V Friends people to learn more about me and my past, not through what I'm saying, through someone else's perspective. And then maybe in return, instead of trying to teach them about V Friends, they'll just learn where I've come and why I'm where I'm at right now, and maybe help them. You know what I mean? So I want to do that, and then I want to sell cards. And so I used to go to card shows. I actually called up my good friend Jay. His name is J Ba. We used to call him. We used to play basketball. I didn't start drinking or anything until I was like 19. When I was a kid, all we would do is break into gyms and YMCA's and play basketball till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And the cops would show up and they'd be like, "Where's the alcohol? Where's the drugs?" And we'd be like, "We don't got any." And they'd be like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" But we used to go to card shows and we used to like trade cards. And the one thing I love about V Friends is we get to a point in our lives that we feel like we're being judged and we're not growing as a person. So we're like, oh, you know what? We have to stop playing with our cards and we have to stop doing this. And these are things that we freaking love. And now I'm at the point and I'm like, you can grow, you can do whatever the hell you want. It doesn't matter what age you're at, you can still play with your Transformers. Now, I don't know as you get older if you'll actually play with your Transformers, but you want to have those Transformers because you just want to walk by and look at it and say, huh, that's mine. But the biggest thing with V Friends right now is everybody's at a different level of their growth in life. And some people join V Friends because they like it and they love the people and they love what they're feeling. They don't understand what they're feeling, but they want to make money. But they also want to respect the credo of V Friends, but they want to make money, you know? And, there's a difference between listening to Gary and hearing Gary. And what my concern is, and I think Gary will appreciate it, and I think his team will, is there's a lot of people that are going to come into V Friends and they're going to lose a lot of money. I mean, you think that there's negativity now, it's only going to get worse. Gary's number one thing is to keep V Friends alive. And if you're just listening to Gary and you're not hearing him, you're going to go, oh my God, I just spent freaking $5,000 that I don't have on cards. Okay. That's Gary's fault?
No.
No, no. And so I want to get to a point with my podcast that you can have a hobby, but you have to listen and you have to hear what Gary is saying. And he always says, if you don't understand who you are as a person, this is a scary, scary community for yourself to be part
100%.
of,
100%.
and so, yeah, a lot of people are going to lose money. But you know what? When you go on Fanatics Live, Gary didn't take your finger and have you press the button to buy that. You did it. And I was doing it. Now, I grew up with a family that thought that if we won the lottery or we won the mega bucks or if we bought a scratch ticket, we were going to be able to take care of our family. So when I got into this cards thing, I said, these cards are like scratch tickets. There's a big addiction, People will gravitate to things not because they have an addiction, but because it's their security blanket. They feel like that's what gives them the dopamine to feel good. So with my family, to this day, still buying scratch tickets, still waiting to get that Mega Millions hit, and I always go to them. I said, if you took all the money that you had when you were young and you took all the money that you spent on the lottery, how much money would you have right now? If they took the money when the blockchain came out 10, 12 years ago, and they just took that money and they put it on crypto, what it would be. So I ended up buying cards, and I started a documentary on YouTube and Twitch. So I'm doing a documentary, and I'm going to edit it down, but you can go to my YouTube page and check out the first 2 volumes. But it's what my journey's been in the last 6 months of Vee Friends. And when I went on Fanatics and I bought my first package, it showed up in the mailbox, and I looked at it and I said, you got a decision to make, Brett. You can open that thing up, or you can hold on to it. You don't have to make any decisions. If you want to open it up later, you can.
That's the tricky part. It's that you always get to that. I thought I was the only one. I think everyone, when it comes to cards, we get to that. Like, we're like, yeah, we're gonna open it. Once it's in our hands, we're like, do we open it or do we just like?
I always tell people, and their mind explodes. But when it was happening, I was thinking about the movie that Johnny Depp did, Blow.
Yes.
And he's like, do you know what the best drug dealer is? A drug dealer that doesn't do his own shit.
Exactly.
And I said, this is shit.
Yep.
And I know from my family. So I collected all the packages. So on volume 1, you see me open up 6 months of every package that I got on Fanatics. And I opened them up, and I have all the packs. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. And then I started to build relationships like yourself in the community and buy things from them, support them. It's almost like they don't even know that they have like a hype foundation, but they do. So I was buying things from them to support them, to build their community, help them grow. And so we'll see what happens. But I'm going to do the documentary, and then I'm going to go to VCon, and then I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with all these unopened packages of cards and boxes.
I love that, man. I love that. I love how you want to spread that. And then it's like me too. I've been stacking up on cards, and then originally, like, they weren't Vee Friend cards. I couldn't get. It's even now. I have a hard time, trying to get my hands on some Vee Friend cards, especially that I can afford. So then and then it always comes down to it. Like, you get them, and then you're like, do I keep them? Do I give them away? Do I sell them? Do I open it? Do I keep them sealed? Do I like? So I always get stuck with that, and it's hard to make a decision. So I do have cards, and what I've been doing, I've been buying a lot of booster pack of Pokemon cards, because that's what I grew up liking. Yu-Gi-Oh, also Garbage Pail Kids, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, like things that I can afford, but things that I know spark my nostalgia and like got me into it. And like, so I'm real, what is it called? Yeah, I'm real nostalgic when it comes to that. So it's like I put my kids onto it and collecting cards, and I introduce them into it by introducing them to how I got started it with like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, and I explained to them like the lore behind each one and the difference behind them, and that led to them starting to like their own stuff. I introduced both my kids to Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. My daughter gravitated to Naruto on her own and collecting cards of Naruto, and then my son gravitated towards Dragon Ball Z. He's all about all the Dragon Ball Z cards and all. So it's like, even though and they like Pokemon, but they got their own like interest that because of it. And it's like I just opened the door and I showed them like, look, this is out there. And instead of them looking at it like, yes, they like playing it, but they also started understanding that if they took care of something over time, the value of it grows. So I've been trying to explain little things like that by using these cards and taking them to the card shop and showing them like, look, these are the ones that aren't open. This is why this is this much, and this is why this one card that's in a graded case is worth something else, and in those things, it's like I try to teach them multiple lessons within one lesson. But at the same time, I try to get them to one, I like to try and build memories with them. And at the same time, it's also giving them a way so they can start constructing their own foundation to make their own hobbies, to find their own interest and why. And so it's like I loved it. I loved introducing. So it's like my plan was, with the things that I have, I'm gonna soon, probably next week. The people in the chat, whoever, if you're in here, whoever's been acting up in the chat, who else didn't I speak to? Blaze. I need to speak with Blaze. Blaze, if you're still in here, let me know what
He's
type
a
of
good guy.
what type of Vee Friends stuff you like. Do you like a plushie? Do you like a figurine? Like what do you like? Ellie, if you're paying attention to the stream, I was talking to every now and then. I just want you to know, Brett, while you were talking, if you saw me looking down, I was just interacting with the people in the chat.
Sure.
So Ellie, I'm gonna send you something. Knox, I'm gonna send you something also. And just let me know, Ellie. Let me know in the chat if what you would like. I think I sent you a plushie already, if I'm not mistaken. If you would like another plushie, let me know which one I already sent you, and I'll send you another one. Or if I sent you, I'm not sure if I sent you a 6-inch Vee Friends figure or a plushie, but let me know what you would like to add to your little collection, and we're gonna hook you up.
She might want an Eric. She might need an Eric.
Yeah, you might need an Eric. We might have to box an Eric up and send them over to you. But we're definitely gonna bless you guys. No, it's not a problem. Don't worry about that. I understand. You got your phone call. You got to do what you got to do. Oh yeah, I sent you a common sense cow, but it was like the miniature one, right? It was a mini or something like that. All right, so we're gonna see. I'm gonna
Size doesn't matter. Size does not matter.
So I'm not never exactly. But
how you wiggle that cow.
Both exactly. It's how the cow moves. That's what counts. But both of you, do me a favor, if you can, hit me up on any of the podcast social media, whether it's on Instagram or it's on X. Just shoot me a DM. I already took note of it. So I'll be expecting it. If not, I'll find you guys and I'll reach out to you guys. All I need is an address, and I'm gonna send you guys over something special. All right. But yeah, man, it's like you said, it's the only reason I want to do that. And it's like you mentioned, it's everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants to do something. And I would like to create something out of this podcasting, out of my vlogging. Why? Because it's what I enjoy. And I always thought it was impossible to do something like that and make a living off of it. And being in the community and seeing all these other people do it, it inspires me to try to go for it and do it myself too. And that's what I want to do. That's my main reason of doing these conversations. One, I'm trying to find my way to break out of that being a secluse once again and avoid falling back into that. And this is my soft entry into it. To having I wouldn't have had a conversation like this with you in person. I would have came up with a million excuses. I would have been nervous. I would have, so this is a way of making it a little easier. And I'm hoping that within time, I can have many conversations with many people in the community, such just like this, to the point where I meet them in person and it's a lot less difficult to make that interaction, and I want, the whole goal of it is to get better at speaking with people, it's like you said, at listening. I need to work on listening. I need to work on better understanding what it is that people are looking to get out of the conversation, what it is that I can do to help those people, what I can, because every time that I speak to people in the past, or I've spoken to people in the past, I've always looked at it like, all right, when is my turn to talk? What am I going to get out of this? What am I? And now I've just been flipping it. Now I literally flipped it to the point where I'm a lot less stressed and I feel a lot better about myself when I'm like, yo, I just want to talk to people. You know, at first when I started doing this, I stopped for a while because I tried working with one person who tried making it seem like I was being malicious about all this and like, oh, you just want to steal people. And I'm like, bro, not everything I do is free. And I'm like, and in all honesty, the only reason I'm doing it this way, I used to do the conversations and not do live stream. I just had the conversation. And then I would try to edit and put it. But then I looked at them like, yo, I want to do live streaming. So why don't I just live stream the conversation? One, I'm learning how to live stream. Two, whoever tunes in is going to benefit from the conversation. So the whole thing was just an excuse to do. But at the same time, it was my excuse to have a conversation with people, because I felt like if I just said, yo, I want to talk, people would be like, why? You know, some people are okay. Yeah, let's chop it up. Let's talk. Let's get on a, but other people, unless there's a reason. So I'm like, yo, my reason behind it is the podcast. My reason behind vlogging it or documenting it and having a live stream, I'm trying to learn from my mistakes. I want to learn if how many times in a conversation I stutter, or I'm like, and you know what I mean? Like, or how many times I pay attention to what I'm being told, how many times I actually correspond with what I'm being told and keep the conversation. It's things like that that I know I need to improve on, that one, I was embarrassed about, and I feel like this helps me get over being embarrassed. People are watching, I've gotten to the point where I don't care. I really don't care if I misspell something, if I speak a little weird, if I misuse a word, or if I mispronounce. I used to be so scared, and this has been helping me so much get more comfortable, that when I go to those events, at first I'm nervous when it gets there, but once I'm there, I start remembering. It's like you say, you're near Vee Friends, you're near, like, you just break out of it. It just takes you seeing that one person. So my goal is not to just look for that one person. My goal is to be able to get there, and everywhere I look, left, right, front, doesn't matter, I know everyone. You know, maybe not from A to Z, but I know them well enough where I can say, hi, how you doing? Or I can at least make them feel less uncomfortable if they see me, and I can make that approach if they don't come to, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was my whole master plan with it. And just to try and enjoy getting to know and learn more about other people, but at the same time learning how to do this, because I enjoy it. I enjoy podcasting. I enjoy live streaming. I enjoy going to the events and doing my little vlogs and my videos. Like, in all honesty, I do all that, and all I think about in my head is I'm kind of fixing a childhood trauma of mine of not being able to talk to people and break out of that comfort zone. But at the same time, while I'm documenting and I'm doing those, like I mentioned before, my kids are online. My kids come across this stuff. And there's so many times that I've catch my son watching my YouTube videos, and he compares me to all his other little famous like YouTube people that he likes watching. And like, that fills my heart. Like, I'm not doing something. I'm a street kid. I was from the streets. I was around like drug dealers and people who like, oh, you got to be part of a gang. I was around all of that crap. So now to the point where it's like you saying, like, I'm my age and I'm able to play around or show that I still care about collecting cards or comic books, and it doesn't bother me. I'm comfortable about it. I'm happy to share it. I'm happy to find other people who are interested in it and have fun in it. And that's my main thing. Like, so it's hard. It was hard for a while when I had certain people believe or take it as like I was trying to take advantage of people and do stuff, which is why like I always try giving, without really making big announcements, people that are in here, I see I've been waiting for the chat to be this active. Now that it is, I'm thankful for it. Because I'm thankful for it, I want to hook you guys up with some stuff. You get what I'm saying? So I'm gonna, yeah, exactly. I really appreciate you.
Share, put a comment. Like, if you want to give back to this man who's working his tail off, like, share, and just put a comment. And you know, every so often when he comes up across your feed, if you're busy, just give him a like. You know, it takes 2 seconds. You know what I mean? He understands that everybody is busy. That's the other thing about Vee Friends, is that if you DM somebody in Vee Friends and you don't get a message back, you're okay with that because you know everybody is doing their own thing. And man,
100%.
that's a great place to be. Um, I think we should wrap it up because
Yeah. Let's get back.
I
Before
think
we get out of here, I just want to let everybody know.
I think this summer we should I want to do the first podcast with Eric being over on the side. Maybe we can get together and we can talk like once every like 4 to 6 months and kind of talk about each other's growth. And before, I wanted to say one thing to you that I was really worried about with this podcast. And I don't know why, because I knew that you would take care of this. But I go, every time I see his videos, his hair, his mustache, and his beard looks on point. And I said, if I show up to this thing and that hair and that beard and mustache is not looking like an 11, like he does for everybody else, I'm going to take that to heart. So
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I try my best, you know. But for everyone who's tuning in, whether you're here live with us, tuning in on X or on Twitch or on YouTube or on Instagram, or whether you're watching this pre-recording on anywhere or you're listening to this podcast and you want to know more about Brett and know about what he's got going on, what he's working on, and what he's going to be pushing out later on in the future, all the social media information I will have in the description wherever you're watching or listening to this episode. Make sure that you give him a follow. Make sure that you show him some love and support. I appreciate everyone who took the time today to jump in the comments. Ellie, thank you very much. Knox, thank you very much. Ryan, thank you very much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Brett, thank you for coming over. Blaze, thank you for showing up also in the chat. I really appreciate all the love and support you guys have been showing. And yeah, man, make sure that you guys go and follow Brett. Make sure that you tune in to the next episode of Clocking Out. Go join and learn. Do your 50 hours of Vee Friends. Go join the community. Go meet some new people. I promise you won't regret it. A lot of good things are coming up. And for everyone who's here or anyone who's watching this, if you got this far in the podcast, we've been streaming for an hour and 41 minutes. We got 50 viewers in here. We got around 45 or so on X. We got another 5 on Twitch. I just want to let you guys know this week coming up, I'm going to start doing things like this while I'm randomly going to start giving things away to people. So spread the word. And I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Brett, thank you very much, man. Is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
This has been great, man. And, if I can give one word of advice to anybody that's listening right now or listens in the future, on Monday, DM somebody from the Vee fam and ask them if they would schedule 30 minutes to talk with them, not on the phone, but FaceTime or a Zoom call. Just one person. If you can do that, you'll be very, very, very surprised on where this journey will take you.
I love that. I agree with you. I think everyone should do that. I'm gonna actually put that on my to-do list also and do that my best also, man. I like that idea very much.
And I just want to say thank you to Eric for being part of this man's freaking life, because he would never be where he is without his Eric.
I love that, man. Thank you once again for tuning in. Blaze, you were in here. You were showing love. Ryan also. Ryan probably got out of here. Make sure you guys hit my DM. I'm going to bless you guys with some goodies. But thank you again, Brett. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I love y'all. This has been another episode of Clocking Out. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.